Yeah. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying double song. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child's play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up mad stuff like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the sheets. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfucker thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth as an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post dated. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Go ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, I don't tape shit.
Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Howdy, everyone. Happy Thursday, July 23rd. Coming to you live from the Dancing Elephant Bookstore. Sorry for that long intro. I was actually getting some elongated head, if you know what I'm saying. Just kidding. I was pulling a Paul Cook, as they say, for those who know. Shout out, Paul. We're just having some fun. But elongated skulls, long heads. That's what we're talking about. The long heads. Elongated skulls, deformed crania, artificial cranial deformation. All these different names for pretty much the same concept. There were some people all across this earth in ancient times, in all different corners of the earth, who either shaped their heads in a strange way or were actually born that way. So there's some controversy about what we're talking about tonight. Huge controversy, because we know these heads exist all over. We know these heads exist all over the place. But the debate is whether some of them were actually born that way. And there's some evidence to that. But yeah, so elongated skulls. Most people, when they hear of this, they think of Peru. I think is probably most famous for having, elongated skulls like that. But Juan, what's going on with you, and how familiar are you with elongated skulls?
So it's funny because I thought that we were going to be talking about giants today.
Oh, real quick, Juan, I think your audio might be on the wrong setting or something.
How about now?
Perfect. Yeah, there we go.
So what I was saying was that I thought we were talking about giants today. So I did like some research on giants and I was reading up, but yeah, no, I'm not very. I know about them because I had Brian Forrester on my show once upon a time, episode
Oh, whoa.
like 4, I want to say, like long time ago. And he has talked a lot about the elongated skulls, and it's obviously tied to ancient aliens, the Nephilim, and in my opinion, it is kind of tied to giants, really, if you look at it. And I want to pull up this example that I found, dude. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a rendition of what some ancient skulls used to look like. I don't know if you've.
Here, hang on. Yeah.
This is the example on the left is an ancient Florida man, elongated skull rendition of what one would have looked like. So, yeah, I thought it was really interesting. It kind of looks like you a little bit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Hey, man, something about Florida might shape people into that. But damn, why my barber got to push my shit back like that, bro? Why my barber do me dirty like that, bro?
all right, here we go. Let's get serious. But yeah, I've learned about
let's
them.
see the one on the right. Let's see the one on the right.
That's my cousin Pedro, bro.
That's Obama.
Don't be making fun of him, bro. Can you imagine? This is it had to have been painful, right? I mean, the artificial manipulation of the brain. 'Cause, I mean, I guess they start when they're small, right? But it couldn't have been comfortable. I mean, it starts out as a I guess the Wikipedia page says as an infant.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, Juan. I think if you knew what you were doing, I think it would kind of be like you wouldn't really notice if you know, if you were very, very young when they started doing this to you, like many Native Americans were put on a flat board or a headboard. Sometimes it was like a backpack type thing. Sometimes it just sit them down on it, almost like a baby, a little crib, you know, just to leave the baby alone for a while down on a flat board. Sometimes just that, just being hooked up to that board would shape their head like this.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
We're gonna see some of these.
Because when you have kids, they tell you, right, the tummy time is
Mhm.
meant to make sure that their head doesn't get flat on the back of it. Because if you leave them
Yep.
on their back a lot, and a lot of neglected babies, well, they get that where, yeah, it does shape and permanently can alter the back of their head. So yeah, I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad.
But there are other types, Juan. So I think probably the most common type we see in America among Native Americans is the board, the flattening board, or there's a word for it. It's um, but in other cultures they do head binding, and the head binding is very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. High mortality rate. And that actually makes the eyes bulge out when they do that. Yeah, the headboard.
Is this what you're talking about? Like this little backpack thing
Yep,
being up against that?
yep.
So this
Some,
woman here, after head binding though. Look at that.
yeah. So the binding gives more of almost like a pineapple shape or like a cone shape at the top. But on the left there, far left, go down. Yeah, that one. That is more of a
Oh, they got the whole setup here. Damn.
yep. That's the thing that shapes the back and the front of the head. And I've got a lot of examples of this. I've got a whole slideshow we're going to go through, but
Whoa.
that one flattens the front and the back. And that was purposefully to shape the head. The other ones, I think, sometimes happen just by accident, where
Mhm.
that's what they put their kids in, and it shaped their head a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, we're also going to see the binding where they kind of wrap the head with something. Like, you know, the Chinese would do the foot binding. Just like that. It can be very brutal, you know. Yeah. On
Yeah,
the
that's
right,
where you get this
on
one.
the right there. That's an example of the binding.
Yeah, we can get into like the, I guess, because I'm sure there's a sort of they're finding either their gods or something that look like this. Are they emulating some sort of like hierarchy where
Right.
royalty would have a sort? Because if you look at some of the pharaohs, they kind of sort of also have that elongated head. It could be the headwear, right? But also, there's been speculation where they also had elongated heads to kind of emulate the gods, right?
Yeah,
Some sort of royalty, if you will.
totally. Here, let me export this slideshow I've got.
Yeah, this is gnarly, dude. Wait, I had Brian Forrester on. I think it was episode 6, bro. It was a long time ago, and he's super deep into this elongated skull thing. And I guess it kind of runs in the ancient alien crowd as well, because I mean, if you were to look at this without really knowing anything, it kind of has that gray, bulbous head sort of look to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it makes you think, did they see the gray aliens with the bulbous heads and want to, like, hey, look, they came down, the sky
Yeah.
gods came down in a metal bird, and we want to, they gave us all this technology, or they showed us things that we didn't have, we want to be like them.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's something to that. So we've talked about the flattening, the binding, but the real controversy stems from, especially over in South America and Mesoamerica, some of these skulls do not have the same sutures. Natural sutures were kind of the division in the skull bones that humans do. So, you know, like all humans have a belly button, right? If it doesn't have a belly button, something's up, right? If you don't have fingerprints, something's up. right? If you don't have a sagittal suture down the middle of the head, which is where your skull gets. So, have you ever noticed this thing, this line down your lip? You know, have you ever noticed how some people have cleft lips or
Yeah.
a hair lip? Right, it's probably the most common birth defect in the world. It's often associated with premature birth, right? And that's because it's the last thing to form. It's one of the last things to be tied together is the front of the head. And, so basically, there's a stitch that goes through the body. Have you ever noticed why the hair runs down, the center of your chest in kind of a line? You have a happy trail. Not to be lewd here, but uh,
The
you ever wonder
gooch
why that?
is
Yeah, exactly.
separated with that
The
suture.
gooch. Yeah, exactly. The goocher, the gooch suture.
Does the
Is
scrotum also have a suture?
Yeah, I guess so. You tell me one. Of all the ones
I
that you see, how many
I
have?
think so. I think there is a little ridge that goes
So
down. And I mean,
so
your ass crack, right? It's a freaking
yeah,
it's right down the middle of the body.
exactly. That's basically the final stitch that goes on, and in the skeleton, there's a similar thing in the skull especially, and that's why when you're a kid, when you're a baby, it's all very soft up there. You can imprint a child's skull very easily. It's like almost like dough, right? And so that suture is still very soft. But basically, there are some
Can you hear me
of
okay,
the
bro? Some
yes,
people are saying my audio is low.
it might be a little low. I don't know. I can only hear you.
How about now?
Um, Sounds good to me. There are some of these skulls that do not have the same sutures as human beings, which is perplexing. It's a huge mystery. So I think that one might be an example of that. Could be
You
wrong.
talk about this line in the back here where it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
it's got a four, right? It's four different pieces. What's it called? What'd you call it earlier?
Mhm. There's a sagittal suture.
So let's check out here so you're talking about this thing here, right? The suture, sagittal suture,
Yeah.
this one right here.
hmm
This would be towards
There
the
are
back of the skull.
there are some elongated skulls that do not have that
Really?
stitch. Yep. And I think Brian Forrester's talks about them. Another significant thing is that there have been a couple of these skulls found in utero, meaning a woman died while pregnant and her unborn child had an elongated skull, which wasn't born yet, couldn't have been shaped or flattened into that.
Well,
So,
I'm gonna push back on that because if the canal is kind of elongated too, and if it got stuck in the canal, it would have formed the skull. Because, and don't laugh at me, I was a conehead baby, okay, because I was too big in the womb, so I had to
mhm.
have the little boots because my feet were touching my shin. They were all the way up, and my feet were all the way up, so I had to wear little special boots and a little special hat to shape my head back. So I think I was actually born with an elongated skull, bro. Okay, no jokes. I'm being 100% serious right now. I was born and I
Mhm.
had a little helmet, and that's why my head is kind of shaped funny. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, that explains a lot. Uh, well, Dennis here, this is a good comment. He says the CC of the brain is different. This is another good point. When you take a regular human skull and bind it or flatten it, the cranial capacity, CC, doesn't change very much. So basically, you take a circle, you take a sphere, and you shape it into a new shape. It's still the same amount of
yeah,
mass or
yeah,
internal capacity, right? You're just reshaping it, stretching it out. It might look longer, might look bigger, but you're actually just stuck with the same amount, right? Well, some of these skulls, some of those, well, some of the ones that look just like that, are so big that they have 1.5 the capacity, sometimes more than that. And so that's a clear distinction. To your point, Juan, are some humans just doing this because it's a memory of some ancient race or some ancient ancestor, some ancient visitor, right? That's good evidence for that. The lack of a suture, the increased capacity, things like that. So, but here, let's go through this slideshow.
So my kids came to my door.
All good, man. All right, here, let's run through this.
And I brought up that picture of that cow because just because your skull is bigger doesn't necessarily mean your brain is bigger, right? I mean, is that a
Right.
that's a right? Because if you're thinking like, oh, it'll make me smarter because my brain is bigger, these skulls have a higher capacity. But if you look at a cow, it's got a huge skull. Maybe I don't know if the cranial area is different. Again, I'm not a expert, but their brain is not that big.
Tauruses be like,
Yeah, pretty much. Just eating all day.
yep, Taurus archetype.
Dude, it's funny, right? Because my wife doesn't believe in any of that stuff, and my second son is a Taurus, and he eats like no tomorrow. And my first son does not eat as much as my second one, and my second one's a Taurus. So, and I was like, hey, restaurant. That's where that comes from, Taurus. I was like, you obviously don't watch the Old World Florida channel.
Sorry, guys. Elongated skulls and cranial deformation found all over the world and in Florida. Bet you didn't know that unless you watch my channel. No one talks about that. Elongated skulls in Florida. And also we're probably going to touch on ancient brain surgery in Florida. That's a real thing. That actually happened. And then we may talk about things like Juan mentioned giants. Giants and the elongated skulls kind of go hand in hand. Another thing that's often mentioned alongside elongated skulls is double rows of teeth. Like there's these legends of monsters, giants with 2 rows of teeth. And
has that been? So you said, has that been confirmed that these elongated skull have 2 rows of teeth?
Some of them, a few of them. And there's one instance of that from Florida, actually.
That plays directly into biblical literature where the Nephilim were said to have had 2 rows of teeth. A lot of these skulls also have red hair, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then what exactly is a giant? Is a giant like tall in stature, or maybe they're tall because their head is so freaking big, right? There's a lot of
that's something else, yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah, when we talk about the Timucua Indians, we're gonna bring that up about how the long head may have given the illusion of being taller than you are, If you're shoulder and shoulder with someone, but their head goes up an extra 6 inches. But all right. So most famously, we hear about most people who've heard of elongated skulls probably know that they come from Peru. Peru's probably most famous for producing elongated skulls. Not that that's what Peru's most famous for, but of all the places that produce elongated skulls, Peru's probably most well known for it. The Paracas skulls. So when we think of Peru, we think of Inca a lot of times, but the Paracas culture, their smaller territory was kind of encompassed by the larger Inca territory. I think the Inca came later. But the Paracas culture is specifically, notable for having all these different skull shapes, especially the elongated ones. Really, really big. Some of them have that weird, like double, like heart shape, almost like a butt, where it's like 2 brains coming out of one head. But So there's the Paracas. If you don't know where the Paracas culture is, Paracas Peninsula there. And, Juan mentioned some of them have red hair. That's true. That one has more brownish hair. But something else I've heard people say is that hair turns red over time, a lot of it. So a lot of mummies look like they have red hair, but it's not always the case. But who knows? I'm not an archaeologist or anything. But okay. And yeah, there you see the long type. You see almost like a giant, big, extra. Look at the cheekbones on this one compared to the others. That thing's huge. And you see these more bulbous types, like Megamind types. All right. And then just moving over in Argentina, they find similar stuff. So this is very, very far south. Like we're almost towards Antarctica, okay? And we're seeing skulls like this. So this really was spread all over the world. And the South Pole is actually going to play a pretty interesting role in one of these little rabbit holes. So
That's obviously a baby skull, right? Like that's a child, an infant.
on the left,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think so. But that's in Argentina. And on the bottom right there, that's Argentina as well. That's the more traditional, like long skull shape. And on the left, you see that I'm going to call it Megamind shape. Maybe we can call it the Star Child shape. I think a lot of people know Lloyd Pye, who kind of got famous for his Star Child discovery, this skull that, to your point, Juan, about this one looking like a child. I don't know if it is, but the Star Child was like a, alien skull, looked like a alien, but they say it was a kid with some deformities, big controversy. But so in Argentina, we see the same stuff, which is pretty cool. Not many people can kind of list off the cultures. Not many people know. I don't know I don't know anything about the ancient cultures from over here, but they had elongated skulls. So now moving over pretty far to China. These are all from China. So,
damn.
Yep. On the left, that's a skull from China. In the bottom right, that is a ancient, statue. Ancient statue from China. I think of a Hun. So the Hun, I think, were, sweeping into China and stuff, but that's a more European looking guy in China in ancient times. And that, it looks like, is more the product of binding because of that shape. And, he's even got the headband on there as an adult. Maybe that was a cultural thing to just keep him on all the time. But now in the top right there is a very interesting character from Chinese mythology, okay? This guy, Juan, take a guess what this guy's nickname is.
Dickhead or something stupid.
Dumb long head. I don't know.
Yeah, something wrong.
Yeah. Me too long. I don't know. Whatever. But basically, that guy is named. He's like the South Pole god or something like that. Old man of the South Pole. He's like the Santa Claus of the South Pole.
Wow.
To the Chinese. Yeah, look that up. Search that one, please. Old man of the South Pole.
Yeah, I got it here.
Bang ding ow. We too low.
Yeah, we too. That's a good one too. The old man of the South Pole, also called the old immortal of the South Pole, Xiang of longevity, star of longevity. is a Taoist deification of Canopus, so the brightest star in the southern constellation of Carina, and the second brightest star in the night sky. The brightest star of the constellation of Carina, is that the dog? Carina, right?
No, I
Constellation.
don't think so.
He is typically
I don't
portrayed
know.
with long white hair and a beard, a protruding forehead, and a healthy pink complexion. So kind of again, merry like or jolly like Santa Claus. His
Hmm.
right hand often holds a peach, and left hand a walking staff with a calabash gourd, which is
Yep.
I believe it's not a fruit, right?
It's like a squash or
Yeah, a vegetable,
like
like
a
a zucchini or
pumpkin.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what they used to make pipes out of. Calabash is what they make like the Sherlock Holmes pipes out of, I think.
Remember when we talked about the Puerto Rican story of creation, and it came forth, reality came forth from one of these things,
Mm.
um, which is said to contain the elixir of life. He can also be portrayed as riding a crane, a deer, often accompanied by disciples. So yeah, it just depends on where you see him, right? Look at this is the one that you're talking about here. What an
Yeah.
interesting
What's the
thing.
association with the South Pole? See if it says that in there. Yeah, read the.
So because he's a deification of the star in the South Pole, the Carina constellation, which
Yeah, but I don't know if
is
that's in this. Okay, yeah, it is.
yeah.
Well,
So
keep reading. Read the legend part.
according to legend, the old man of the South Pole was once a sickly boy named Zhao Yang, who had been predicted to die when he was 19 years old. He was therefore advised to visit a certain field and bring with him a jar of wine and dried meat. In that field, he would find two men intent on playing checkers under a tree. He should offer them wine and meat, but should avoid answering their questions. Xiao Yang followed the advice, and when the two men had consumed the meat and the wine, they decided to thank him by
Ooh,
exchanging the figures of his life expectancy from 19 to 91. Later,
damn.
he was told that one of the two men was the star of the North Pole, which fixes the date of birth of the men, and the other star, the South Pole, which fixes the date of death. Huh.
Interesting. So we got a
Very
little like Kabbalah, like numerology going on, and some astrology.
yeah.
They swapped the digits on his date, and then they yeah.
And what is doesn't the Bible say something about the was is it the devil is in the South Pole or he resides in the North Pole? I could be getting it wrong because people connect Santa with Satan, right?
Yeah.
That's always been a connection, and I'm not sure. I don't remember now if it's the South Pole or the
I
North
don't
Pole where Satan is supposed to
yeah.
come down from.
I don't remember that.
Because what constellation is that? If you're like in the north, what star is that? The North Star.
I
Isn't that
believe
like
the
the
North
gateway?
Star is in Cancer, I believe. I think we were
Which is the
talking about
gateway, right?
kinda, yeah. We were
Which
talking
would
about that.
make sense.
Hmm.
It would make sense that that's where the soul goes to again, either reincarnate or go wherever it
Yeah.
goes. But yeah,
Isn't
pretty
it
interesting.
isn't it crazy that the Chinese had like a concept of the South Pole? They're pretty far from the South Pole, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it depends on which model of the Earth you follow, right? If it's round or if it's uh
Hmm.
flat. But no,
Elongated.
definitely. Or yeah, or it could be elongated. Maybe that's the whole that's the secret. So definitely and you wowed at something here, the was it the meat and the wine?
No, that's when I saw the 19 to 91.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So
But
yeah,
keep
that's pretty
scrolling down. Let's see if there's anything else in. Oh, that's it.
in
Okay.
in culture, yeah, that's pretty much what he talks about. So according to folk legends, the white snake spirit Baizuzan once went to the cave of the old man in the South Pole to steal medicinal herbs. And the Taoists were alchemists, man. They were some of the early alchemists, and they
Bunch of sex
actually,
freaks too.
yeah, a lot of semen retention. There is a Taoist homunculus I talk about, where they did some sort of meditation to try and project this little golden man into the world in order to escape reincarnation.
Hmm.
And they were actually during this time in China, they were speaking of skulls and like bodily fluids, I guess you could say. they would use various how do I say this, parts of the body medicinally. And I'll pull up a list of all those Chinese body.
Okay. Well, here, since you bring that up, while you're bringing that up, so since you bring up that topic, the very next slide I had here, tell me what you think of this one. Have you ever heard of the Ushnisha? I think that's how they say it.
Yeah, when I was on with Duncan Trussell and Kurt Metzger this yesterday, they brought
Oh,
that up
really?
actually. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I had no idea. So this is a hidden, this is a very undercovered, a very neglected factor to the elongated skull thing. So I've heard some theories about how a skull would get elongated, like naturally or kind of organically, through spiritual practices or just one example. Kent Hovind, I think he's Baptist. He's like a fundamentalist Christian who like proves, with slideshows and presentations, the Earth is only 6,000 years old at most. He's a young Earth guy. He's super fundamentalist, literalist. Like he believes Noah's flood covered every single mountain, and he goes through all the proof. And I disagree with some of his stuff, but he's a great proponent for the historicity of the Bible. When I had him on my show, I asked him about elongated skulls because he talks about giants. He talks about stuff like that. I'd never heard him talk about elongated skulls. I said, "What are elongated skulls?" He told me his theory was that, you know how they say your ears and your nose get longer every year? Have you ever heard that? Like
Yep.
old people have really long ears, long nose, long balls. But basically, it's true that kind of the overall head appears to get like longer when you get older. Kent Hovind, he had, some facts to back this up. I don't. He said he thought elongated skulls were simply the people who lived to hundreds and hundreds of years old. He said that we don't know what happens to the skull after 100 years, but he gave some cool examples about. And this guy Hilton Hotema, who wrote this book about long life in Florida, it being, Florida being this special place that gives youth and beauty and vitality. He talks about how humans are designed to have multiple sets of teeth. So you have your baby teeth, up until you're like 11 or 12, you're still growing in your adult teeth. Then you have all your adult teeth, and people think that's it. Well, sometimes people grow new teeth. Did you know about that?
Really?
Sometimes it happens. Yep, we produce wisdom teeth through
Mm-hmm.
through
Did you have yours removed?
no, I don't need that shit. Psh, what am I gonna give it to some? Don't say the word. Don't say the word. Well, we're gonna give it to some.
What a word.
We're gonna give it to some Tengu dentist to use in his black magic rituals. No, no. My teeth are staying with me. Okay. No Tengu rituals with my teeth.
Well, it's
Yeah,
interesting that we were made the way we were made, but yet they take those out because they say that they don't fit in our mouths for whatever reason, or they
it's
grow a certain
BS.
type of way.
And what do they call them? Wisdom.
Wisdom teeth, yeah.
I mean, I think there's something to that. Like not only is it a mark of maturity physically, I think they may even, our teeth are connected to all these different neurons and, nervous system pathways. Your teeth each, there's like reflexology going on in the teeth. Each tooth is connected to a part of the body, and even like a Hebrew letter and constellations. There's all these mystical, sides to teeth. If you've ever heard me talk about optologists or opticians, how like Freemasonry is all about stone cutting and masonry and even carpentry and like building. Well, that's almost like the last occult, uh, not a union, what would the fraternal order, like a guild. It's like a craft guild. All the not ancient times, maybe ancient times, but like 500 years ago, all the blacksmiths would get together and they'd have a guild where it's almost like a union where they look out for each other, except there's more like initiations into it where they can really trust each other. All the blacksmiths in town can kind of be on the same page, and that's what Freemasonry comes out of, is the stone cutter, the Masons Union or the Masons Guild went from operative masonry to more speculative masonry. Well, other occupations had the same thing. Masonry was just kind of like the last one, or the one that took it all the way and beat out the others.
Can we talk about this? Have you ever heard of the Copio cipher? Because you're talking about the Freemasonic oculist, the
Yes.
secret. So let me pull this up
Well,
here. So
here.
the Go ahead.
Well, here, let me finish this. There's the oculists or the opticians, whatever they're.
Mhm.
I think you just used the right word. That was one of the last, maybe even current, maybe even still happening now, because if you've ever noticed, all this Illuminati, symbolism is like masonry, stone,
Illuminati
temple,
confirmed.
pillars, stairs, it's all architectural, right? Well, you'll also notice that that's like the bulk of symbolism, but so much symbolism, maybe an equal amount or more, certainly second, is eye, eye symbolism. It's all about the hidden eye, the all-seeing eye, the single eye, the eye of Osiris, illumination, right? Uh, Enlightenment. It's all about seeing, vision, Lucifer. It's all about light and color and visibility. That all comes from the reason that's such a rich, seeing itself is kind of a useful uh, metaphor for a lot of things, but that occupation of the people who used to work on eyes, they are responsible for many of these occult, motifs, little eye decorations and eye tattoos and things like that. That's because the oculists, and even the word occult, oculist, occult, it's the same root word to look, or the monocle, right? Spectacle, right? That lens. But all right, the last one would be dentists. Dentists even had a certain type of that. It was nowhere near as prevalent, but dentists had their own little guilds, and they'd work secret society stuff into there, and they'd attach symbolism to their different operations. So it used to be very prevalent in many occupations. So what were we going to say, Juan?
So the Copio cipher, which, because you mentioned eye doctors, the Copio cipher was this book that could never be deciphered, and it was undeciphered for 260 years until they introduced it was an AI essentially to decode it, and they were able to decode it. And what it was essentially was a book on different Freemasonic rituals and rites and all that stuff, and it belonged to a secret society, the Oculist. The Oculists were a group of ophthalmologists led by Count Frederick August von Veltheim, who died in April. So, anyways, these guys, it was a group of, again, occultists, or not occult, I guess occultists, Freemasons, and their secret power essentially was being able to write in this code. And the better you were able to write in this code to make your writings to where no one can decipher them for over 260 years without the use of an AI computer, That was the sleight of hand, and they would actually do pseudo operations where they would have the initiate be in a room and they would do a pseudo eye surgery where they'd go in with the instruments in the dark, they would cover their eyes, and they would pick a single eyebrow, right? To again, it was a whole ceremony essentially, is what it was. But yeah, their whole thing was how well could you decipher things? How well could you? I'm sorry, how well could you encrypt things with your writing? And even till this day, some of these writings, a lot of these symbols, they still haven't deciphered them because they think that they are names to people or names to certain ranks or whatever. So they still, some of it has not been deciphered. And again, it comes from because you were mentioning that, and back to the using the body, right, for medicine around the same time as that legend of the South Pole Santa Claus. The Taoists are known for using various parts of the human body, including right, there's a list, and this is from a book that the Benkao Gungmu, and this book was written by this guy who he wrote it for like an emperor or something like that, and he ended up actually collapsing from writing this book. He ended up writing the book for a very long time, and then he ended up dying from exhaustion after writing this book about all these medicinal uses for different things like human hair, uh, human hair cut off of a head, human hair collected from a comb, human dandruff, earwax, feces, urine, white sediment of urine, like all these different things they use for different medicinal purposes. And it all comes back to this idea, one of my favorite legends, the Mellified Man. Have you ever heard of the Mellified Man? The Mellified Man essentially was a cadaver. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was muted. My mellified brother.
Yeah, exactly. Mellified. So the Mellified Man comes from this legend that essentially, I believe it was a monk of some sort. He would only eat, drink, and bathe in honey for a very long time until he would eventually starve to death. And they would take his body and they would submerge it in a sarcophagus full of honey. And they would seal it up for 100 years, I believe it was. And after that, they would open it up, and you were able to use this concoction to heal yourself. So they would break pieces off or eat pieces of this Mellified Man in order to cure diseases, or there's some legends where they say they would put it on broken bones and it would heal the bones.
That's
And
how
it
sweet.
comes,
That's where sweet and sour sauce comes from.
yeah, it probably, bro. Maybe that's what McDonald's is doing with that
That's
sweet and
duck
sour
sauce.
sauce.
That's duck
100%.
sauce.
And it all originated from this Bunkao Gengmu, this book. And yeah, so the donor, let's see here, the origins, yeah. And there was also Alexander the Great was reportedly preserved in a honey-filled sarcophagus. So maybe there's something to this guy. Kind of looks like he has an elongated head here a little bit.
He's got a Dr. Longo nose. I can tell
Yeah,
you
he
that.
does.
Got the same nose as Alexander the Great over here, guys.
So yeah, the Arabs supposedly did it, and 70 to 80 year who was willing to give their body to save others. So again, you would become sort of like a philosopher's stone, if you will, and you're only so a one takes no more food or drink, only bathing and eating a little honey. So after a month, his excreta are nothing but honey. Then death ensues. His compatriots place the body in a stone coffin full of honey with an inscription, yada yada yada, and then they open it 100 years later, and boom. What a way to go, right? I mean, that's and even the Taoists are also the ones that would do the human mummification. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Well, here.
So where they would
All
mummify
right,
themselves living?
all
Bro,
right. One rabbit hole at a time, bro. Let me process the fucking
Mellified Man
the
first.
fucking honey slugs for a sec. All right, fucking human Cinnabon over here.
Yeah, pretty much.
human honey bun. You can buy one of these dudes at the gas station, dude. Leave a honey bun in your car for too long, it turns into
the philosopher. It turns into the philosopher's stone, bro.
yeah.
Oh man, yeah, no, It's a wild world out there, man, and there's a lot of weird, interesting things. But yeah,
Well, here let's try and before we get too far away from the Chinese Santa Claus, this old man of the South Pole, you know, um, we're trying to kind of tackle the question: is there a natural process or like an active process that can result in this type of head lengthening or expanding? Well, funny enough, the Ushnisha that we were talking about for a sec. This is the Ushnisha is the bump on top of the Buddha's head. So many people mistakenly assume that the bump on top of the Buddha's head is just a bun, like a top bun or like a hairstyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not actually the case. The Ushnisha is a what do they call it? I think it's just a bump, cranial bump. Can you search Ushnisha on
Yeah, I've
Wikipedia,
got it.
please?
I've got it pulled up here. So the Ushnisha is a three-dimensional oval-shaped
Pro-
protuberance.
protuberance. There you go. Yep.
Protuberance on the top of the Buddha's head. So it is one of the 32 major mark of a spiritual enlightened being in Buddhism, symbolizing expanded wisdom, supreme spiritual authority, and attainment of enlightenment. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's kind of like the crown chakra type thing.
I've
There's
heard
like,
the Wee Wuzzery say that these are corn rolls. You ever heard that?
eh, I'm not really buying it.
The Wee Wuz Buddhas and shit. So
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I mean,
no,
just
you don't think that's
look at their nostrils. I don't care what. I mean, some Indian people are
look at
very,
this
very
one.
black.
I don't know.
What you're saying? He can breathe.
It's
I can't breathe. Can he
little bit of
breathe
Wee
or
Wuzzery.
can't he breathe? No. Here, look at the one that I've got on screen.
Yeah.
On the left, I mean, that looks almost like a European. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say the Buddha was European, but I mean, he was Indian. He was something over there. Central Asian, far back in time, there was a lot of European looking people in North India, China, like we saw. So here, these are all from India or close to India. Top right, that was, I think, a Hun dynasty in India. And what's pretty interesting is if you know the god Shiva, here, we're going to go on a little walk here.
Hold on, let me pull you up.
There, I got it. Yeah. So here's Shiva. See Shiva?
Mm-hmm.
Shiva's like a supreme deity to Hinduism, right? Which is older than Buddhism, is what most people say. And you'll see the crescent moon on the forehead.
Mm-hmm.
You see the knot. It's not just a bun, it's the whole skull is. So Juan, when you say earlier you asked, could this be one group of people mimicking another? Well, it could be here, one sec. Could be, that group in the top right, those are Huns, I believe. And the Huns are more or less more European. People think of them as like Asian, but they're pretty European. That's where we get the name for Hungary. Hungary, right next to Germany. And in the top right there, I think that's a more European-looking guy who that culture came into India, made a big impression. And it seems that impression is kind of where they get their general description of what Shiva looks like. So Shiva, one of these supreme gods in Hinduism, looks very, very similar to this guy over here, does he not? right?
Mhm.
So it's very unlikely that they made this guy look like Shiva. It's probably the other way around. I know people will probably disagree with that, but he's got the crescent moon and everything on his forehead. So it's the skull and the hair not on top. But really the important point here is that this kind of makes the argument that the extra room in the top of the head, or this expanded skull at the top, is actually a symptom of enlightenment, or activating the brain, activating the neurons, and you know yeah, that it actually pushes the top of the skull open. It's almost like mewing. Forget looks maxing. Okay, we're books maxing over here. Okay, that's what happens when you books max. When you god maxing, fucking burst your head open. Juan, this is almost like skull fucking, isn't it? The skull fuck method. Like
Yeah, uh, except that's a
people
little bit
people
different
people
too.
are like, pause, what?
It's a more of a what they call a sexual gnosis,
That's not what you think it means, guys.
magical thing. It's a dream recollection technology that, in all honesty, it does work though, bro. It does actually work. So,
Hmm.
and I'm just thinking about, like, right, this empty space in the head, enlightenment, and I brought up the don't whales use this part of their brain in the front here for their echolocation and like talking to each other? Isn't that what that's used for? You usually see like a dolphin in any movie or anything, right, the waves and beams coming out of their forehead. So almost like, hey, if we have this little open space in our head, we're able to communicate with the gods or whatever it is. And it's interesting because all this kind of sort of connects, especially Hindu mythology and all these gods, where the Mahabharata and all these different stories, they have like almost these extraterrestrial gods with these weapons of mass destruction, and it
Hmm.
reminds me of aliens, right? And in the movie Coneheads, they're what? They're aliens that come from another place, and they're here trying to blend in, sort of thing, and they all look like this.
Yeah.
They got the so it's an interesting pick. Obviously, they knew what they were doing in Hollywood with this, and the actual, because who knows? I looked up here real quick how were the people perceived, right? And they were the social elite, symbols of high beauty,
Yeah,
embodiments
it's
of
always
divine
like that.
ancestral connections, and then you have the Egyptian connection with that as well, where they are. Look at this. I mean, this is 100%.
Here, don't spoil it. We're gonna get to that. I got a whole slideshow going around the world.
Do it. Do it.
All right. Yeah, and here, who says this? Buddhism was created by Aryans. It's a fact. It's not a
What?
political. Yeah, you don't know this? So
Wait,
the
like Aryans? What Aryan? Which ones?
yes, the same ones, the same
Really?
ones. Yep, the Indo-Aryan people. So from Ireland to India, there was a culture that made, culture. I don't know if that's the right word, but a network, an ecosystem of cultures and related people who were European, by today's standards, and they came into India from the north, bringing horses, the wheel, maybe even, and higher sciences, arts, technologies, and they were called the Aryans or the Aryans, and the Brahmins. So the highest caste in India is called the Brahmin
Mm-hmm.
caste, and their other name is the Aryan caste. So Buddhists, they actually inherited that name, Aryan, and they use that word as well, or it's used to describe Buddhists as well. It means, noble, intellect. But yeah, it's like
Enlightened.
this. Yeah, it's like the spiritual path almost.
Yeah.
So, in a way, yes, Buddhism was created by the Aryans, who came from somewhere else. And yeah, that's even why, like I always talk about in Hebrew, in the Bible, we have Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah. In Hinduism, they have Brahma and Saraswati. Abraham and Sarah in the Bible. In Hinduism, Brahma and Saraswati. What are the odds of that? And yeah. But all right. So there's an element of spiritual enlightenment, maybe, behind this, head shape. And if you get more enlightened, or the more you think, I don't know what it is, you actually push the brain up, expand the skull a little bit, make more room for more brain, I guess.
I wonder if it like gave you permanent headaches or something, right? All that pressure, because when you get like encephalitis or whatever, where the brain swells up, I mean, you can die from it. So
Mhm.
I'm sure this wasn't like 100% healthy.
Juan, you don't know anything, okay? You see, you're just a simple, small-headed, okay? You don't know the truth, okay? Now, speaking of enlightenment, okay, the real ultimate truth behind all this is, if we're talking about Aryans, different races, we all know that the white race comes from Yakub, our grandfather, great grandfather. All hail the almighty scientist, Yakub. So, guys, go look up Yakub if you don't know him already. Um, but yeah, so Yakub was famous for having a big head. He had one of those more like double lobe, skulls, butt shaped head.
Really?
He got that Nicki Minaj head.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Yakub was said to be a smart, angry scientist who created the white race almost by accident as a
Oh, I've heard this before. Yeah, I know.
freak science experiment. Yeah. But so they always say that this guy had a huge head for some reason, which is hilarious. But all right, so moving on, we've got the in India we see it, and it's associated with the Buddha's enlightenment, and also Shiva the god has a similar head shape. People usually think it's just matted hair, but there's a cone head underneath that hair. So certain hairstyles prevent you from being able to see the shape of the head. And we're going to see that some more.
I'd rather have a cone head than a boob head like that. You have like a tit on your head
Right.
on that way, you know?
Now, this is a group of Native Americans up in the Northwest. They were actually called the Flatheads, the Flathead Indians. And they had a very unique head shape. So on the right there, that's from George Catlin, the very famous depictor of Native Americans, artist who painted Native Americans. George Catlin, he made that. It's one painting, but I split the two people into different windows there on the right. But that is from George Catlin, who made very famous, beautiful paintings of all different Native tribes. On the left, that's more of I forget what they call those. Lithograph, some shit like that.
Wonder if that's where they got the inspiration for Predator from.
Maybe no, that was actually from a black girl at the register of a Popeyes. That was
We love
actually
Predator and shit.
that was actually all right. Yeah, cut that out. Can you tell your
Yeah,
tell
you
tell your
tried.
team in the Philippines to just edit that out. All right.
Yeah. I'm sure they won't.
All right. But the Flathead Indians, yeah, were famous for having this head shape that was tall and long, but also very broad. So very broad as well. Let me double check where the Flathead Indians lived. Montana, Great Plains. Okay.
Towards the west.
Yeah. Midwest, Northwest, close to there. Now, these are some skulls. If I had never heard about the Flathead Indians and I saw these skulls, I'd be like, damn, those are from Peru, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, these are from the Flathead Indians. These are, old photograph of real skulls belonging to the Flathead Indians. And those things don't really look shaped. They have that ridge on the front and the top that some of those Peruvian ones have. But yeah, those ones don't look artificially shaped to me. But what do I know? But moving on. These are Mexico. So this is all across Mexico. This is a little sample from almost every corner of Mexico. In the top right there, that is a Maya statue, ancient Maya statue. You can see the huge head shape. In the bottom right here, that is from, I think they're called the Zapotec or the Mixtec. They're closer to California. They're almost like in LA, almost. And, you see a lot of those like Native American, Mexican, like skull motifs with the jewels and like the bandana style designs. That is an ancient version of that right there, that skull, that decorated skull. Pretty cool. And so that's in the top left side, top left corner of Mexico. The Maya are over near the Yucatan Peninsula. And then on the left there, oh wait, no, I think on the left and the bottom right, I think those ones are connected. I think those are from the same culture. I could be wrong. On the left there, I think that's also northern Mexico. More of like the desert. Yeah. More of like the desert part of Mexico. Top right, the Maya, they're over there near the jungle, It's almost like
what's
Florida.
Interesting? That, we've talked about all the different connections and similarities throughout all these ancient cultures. And it's like, did they really come up with the same idea all at once, or did they all see the same thing or something similar? Or because it's interesting, like, hey, I wonder, can we like squeeze our heads enough to make it long? Like, who comes up with that sort of idea? And again, it was a very long time ago. There could have been their own thing. In my opinion, they had to have seen that in order to emulate it. Unless somebody was born that way and they're like, hey, this person's super smart. They have superpowers. Like, we want to emulate that. Like, let's go ahead and do it. But the fact that it's all over the place, in different parts, that really says something. And it makes me think of the Olmec heads, because they have sort of like a helmet, almost like, were they trying to shape their heads in like a different way? Or like, hey, you guys are trying to get elongated, we're trying to get down low.
Those are just those retard baby helmets. The Olmec
I was
heads,
thinking that, but I didn't say that. Yeah.
They have those Down syndrome helmets.
Yeah.
The Olmec head.
Yeah, right here.
Those Olmec heads look like they're begging their parents for like ice cream or something. I don't know. There's just something like juvenile and retarded about them.
Yeah. And I can definitely see that, bro. I was thinking that, but I didn't say.
Why the Olmec heads got short bus energy?
Yeah. And they attribute those like, oh no, that's an astronaut helmet. They were wearing some sort of helmet to go into outer space. The ancient astronaut, right? They're from somewhere else. They might have just been a little.
I think petri dish is the word you're looking for.
Hey.
Not jar. Here, Mark O'Farrell gifted 5 Old World Florida memberships. Thanks for that. Cameron Mackley, the $5 says, Red Scott Irish confirming elongation. Have always had a 5 head. Yeah. I don't know. I've got a good 4 head.
Me too.
3, 4, 3.5, 4. Yeah.
The receding hairline doesn't help either when it starts to move back. Just opens up that.
Well, see, there's some things about the looks maxing that I disagree with. The standard for looks maxing and what's a healthy hairline, you know, um, what people don't really talk about is a slightly receded hairline,
Is this
or
true?
mm, bug foreheads, big foreheads.
Oh,
I don't know
big,
about
big.
that.
Yeah, you meant
I
big.
don't know about that. Aries is the forehead sign. Aries is the big forehead sign. Taurus is usually a big necks. Taurus is usually
Oh,
have big necks and shoulders, like a bull, like The Rock,
yeah, yeah.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Um, but so I'll give you an example, okay? And maybe I'm coping here. Maybe this is copium, where but uh when people get these hair surgeries and they fill in their corners, it makes you look dumb.
Re-
Be-
retarded. Yeah.
exactly. It makes you look feminine, and having a wide, broad forehead is actually a mark of intelligence. Now, yeah, you don't want to have your hair gone. You don't want to be losing your hairline,
100%
right?
copium, bro.
But and there's also something about the shape of there's a masculine shape to a hairline and there's a feminine shape to a hairline. And when people get that hair surgery, they get the feminine, childlike shape. Now search it up. I'll show you what I mean. Search Jorge Masvidal.
The UFC fighter? Or yeah,
Yeah,
UFC.
Jorge Masvidal just got his hairline filled in,
Oh
like in
god.
in Turkey, bro.
I see it, yeah.
It is the worst one yet.
Yeah. You know, I have a friend who actually he tattooed, so instead of getting the hair, he tattooed the hairline here
Yeah,
and here, and he was trying
dude.
to get me to do it.
Hispanic people are obsessed with that, dude. With tattooing the hair on, and Hispanic women tattoo their eyebrows on all the
Yep.
time. It's
Yep.
crazy. It's the worst thing you can do to your face is to tattoo your eyebrows on.
And this can't be healthy either,
Personally,
though. I mean, look how much
yeah.
shorter his forehead is now.
Dude, look at the finished product. Look at another picture. Search Jorge Masvidal new hairline. It's
Oh,
hilarious, dude. It's hilarious.
yo,
Bro.
he looks like the Olmec heads. Like he looks.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy would kick our ass, but
yeah, yeah.
he looks. Yeah, it looks a little off right now.
Yeah.
Look at him right there, dude. What?
He went from Longo to Chongo, bro. He went No,
That's
but
crazy work, dude.
see when you mess with your hair like that, like look how young and dumb he
Yeah,
looks.
yeah.
Like he actually looks less wise, you know? Whatever.
I mean, taking punches to the face for that long also probably doesn't do you any good. So, yeah, but that does look funny. It looks off how you're saying. It does look.
Yeah.
You don't
When
look
people
better, right?
I don't think it looks better. I mean, the long hair isn't really helping when everything's kind of pulled back like that, but I'm a forehead truther, okay? I'm a forehead red pillar. The forehead's everything. This comment is right. Mike Paul's right. Phrenology is true. And what you this is why I don't like the looks maxing, because it hides what you're actually exhibiting. Our face, our body,
Mhm.
it is shaped by our thoughts, by our vitality, you know, your breath, your diet, the decisions you make compound into your face. So yeah, genetics is part of it. But have you ever heard who was it? Mark Twain or George Orwell maybe said by 50 everyone has the face they deserve.
Mm. You know what's
Yeah.
funny?
Yeah, I'm a
People who
hater.
get this done and then their hair still ends up falling away and they just wasted a bunch of money and time. Did you see the guy whose forehead speaking of elongated skulls, what was it? This guy here. You see this guy? There was a guy who's this guy
Oh,
right here.
yeah. Yeah, it all ties in together.
Left me looking like an egg, bro. You know how mad I would be? I would not want to go anywhere if this was me. Look at that, bro. What?
You gave him that Charlie Kirk. Gave him that.
Yeah. Yes, bro. Yes. Look at that. Look how he started. Again, receding hairline. That's fine. I mean, I don't care because I shave my head, so it doesn't really bother me. But again,
You're
some
good,
people are
bro. You got a
self-conscious.
good hairline, bro. You're good.
But
It's
this
flat,
guy,
straight.
whew, it's flat. It's cone. It's a little coney. You can't see it, but it's a little coney right there. It's all good though. I shave my head. I don't really
Oh,
care.
I got a huge widow's peak. I've had high corners since I was like 18. But my
Yeah,
hair's
my
not
dad.
going anywhere. My hairline's
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
my dad's goes in like that, but he doesn't. In my family, it doesn't really run where people get bald at the top and then have the side. I never understood that. Like if you're bald at the top and have hair on, just shave the whole thing. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna look good, right? I think that's just my personal opinion. But this guy looks like he got into a fight with Masvidal after that surgery.
Yeah.
Yikes!
Damn, bro. Dude, that is bro. Have you ever seen Zika heads?
Oh, what is that?
Search Zika head.
Oh, dude, come on, man! Don't be mean. But yeah.
Don't be mean. I'm mean because these things exist.
So this is from is that from the mosquito biting people, right? Giving them that disease, right?
Yeah. When shoddy suck too
Shut,
hard. Pull all
So this would be like
when
another
shoddy
form.
suck your brains
So
out.
hear me out. Hear me out. If somebody can be born with a small head like this, then somebody can be born with a elongated skull, how we've been seeing, right? I mean, if one is
Could
true,
be.
then the opposite could also be true, right?
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. That's sad.
Mosquitoes.
Do they die?
I don't know.
Transmitted. The virus attacks fetal, severely stunting brain growth while leaving the skin and skull to grow disproportionately. What happens to these people?
What do you
when they
want from
die?
me? You want me to start the Zika head support fund? Yeah, guys,
Yeah.
all tips donated tonight are going to Zika head
Research.
Zika head research. I've got
Hey,
my
Longo
team.
said it, not me. Okay.
I got my team working on it.
All right. So, that's one of the things of like today's culture where women get all this work done, and like your babies will have the same genetics as you. So they're like, look at the Kardashians, like how much work they've gotten done. But at the end of the day, like some of them were kind of ugly at first. Yeah, they look good now. That's subjective, but like even then, when your offspring is gonna have your original genes, so you can change the cosmetic part of it, but your gene pool is what it is. So
Kylie and Chloe are oof. Ugh.
yeah, she looked really rough before. So this is what she looked like before. Again,
Yep.
not definitely no.
That's
Obviously,
even
she's over
after.
here.
That's even after some work on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
total
I
new
mean,
face. It's crazy.
100% nose, everything. 100%.
Yeah. All right. So here. These are from Mexico. You've got Maya top right, and one or two of the others is from North Mexico. Oh, here we got some more super chats. 5-leaf clover with the 1,000 gems.
That
What
was
are
on my channel.
gems?
Shout out. I have no
Okay.
idea, but thank you, bro.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're not taking our tops off, dude. I don't care how many tokens you throw at us. I don't care how many gems you. Attitude Gratitude with the 1999. Ridgeland Farms Beagle protest tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time. If y'all have been following longer, then you know Cam Waters slashed Christspiracy and his felony charges for saving beagles. 33 were
Illuminati
just
confirmed.
sent to a chemical testing facility. Guys, go get in touch. Not in touch, but stay tuned to Cameron Waters on Instagram. Christspiracy is his other page. See what's sorry I'm out of the loop on this one, but yeah, there's basically this whole legal battle going on with this beagle testing facility. You guys remember when Dr. Fauci was getting grilled in Congress and they were saying like, "Oh, Dr. Fauci, you were in charge of this laboratory where they were plucking beagles' eyes out and having flies bite them until they died and stuff like that and
Ants.
all."
No.
Yeah, all these terrible things in the name of scientific research and chemical pharmaceutical testing on beagles. People made a huge deal about Legally Blonde, the movie. Isn't that the whole movie's about testing chemicals on dogs?
It's been a
But
long time since I've seen that movie.
well, basically, it still happens. People thought it's done because they made the movie. They thought, oh, it's dogs are safe now from animal testing. No, they test vaccines on dogs. They test cosmetics on dogs. They do all this terrible shit. So, Legally Blonde 2, thank you.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess they're protesting again. They already did 2 blitzkriegs on this testing facility. They lost a court battle and they were supposed to shut down completely, but they still had dogs there. They're still operating in some capacity. And so these people, my friend Cam being one of them, like blitzkrieged, bum rushed, cut their way through a fence and just swarmed this facility and grabbed as many dogs as they could and bolted out. And I think they did it twice, or they did 2 demonstrations. And I guess they're gonna go do another one or something. So yeah, guys, go check up on that. Maybe you can go.
I looked it up. It's in Wisconsin,
Yeah, that sounds right.
and I work tomorrow, so I don't think I can make it.
Jay says, "Who cares? Who cares?
I work tomorrow at
Who
3.
cares?
Sorry.
Who cares about the Beagles?" Oh my god.
Oh man. Well, it's either that or the Reese's macaque monkeys. Right? Would you rather it be a dog or a monkey
Oh,
or a rat?
this- that's savage. But all right, for those who do care, please go do something about it.
Wait, is tomorrow a holiday? No, right?
No.
This guy's trolling me. It's Pioneer Day tomorrow in Utah. Everyone gets the day off. What?
I don't know. That might be true.
Is he
That might be
trolling?
true. That might be
This
true.
guy's he's a troll, bro. Oh, it is? No, hold on. Pioneer Day 2026. Local celebrations in Florida include Lake Wales Pioneer Days Festival. July 24, 2026. Yeah. Tomorrow. He's not lying.
Yeah, Juan.
Sorry I doubted you, bro. Sorry, Elliot. I doubted you, but you are a troll, so that's why I got to double check.
Sorry, it's not a quinceañera, Juan. Sorry, it's not an
Yeah.
official an official.
Yeah. Either way, I got to work. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It's all right. Mexican skulls. Mexican skulls. There's a pretty cool article on this one on the left. They even use the word alien. Search this up. Alien skulls discovered in Mexico.
I don't know if I trust that though, bro, because remember that
ABC
the
News.
you remember the paper mache aliens that they tried to do like a tour with, where they were like, "Hey, these are real," and then it ended up being like some bullshit. So this is from 2012, December 21st. Wasn't the world supposed to end that day? Wasn't that one of the Mayan calendar
Ooh. Yeah.
predictions?
I've another one of these. No, you gotta get like the windows shut down.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I don't have it.
It's like when the world's ending.
So archaeologists in Mexico have uncovered 25 alien-looking human skulls within a cemetery in the northwest state of Sonora. They said today.
Yeah.
Some of the skulls showed deformities, said Cristina Garcia Moreno, who worked on the excavation project with Arizona State University, which analyzed the bones. The bones are about 1,000 years old, dating from 945 AD to 1308 AD. Quote, this was an Hispanic cemetery with 25 skulls and 13 of them have deformed heads, Moreno told ABC News today. We don't know why this population specifically deformed their heads. Moreno said that the scientists had found skulls in other parts of Mexico, including Guasave, south of Sonora, that also showed similar deformities in certain groups of people. Scientists believe they put beams of wood on the front and back of individuals' heads and wrapped the wood with bands to exert pressure on the skull, Moreno said. Quote, we know that in some parts of Mexico, people deformed their heads because they wanted to distinguish important people or they wanted to distinguish important people, that they wanted to distinguish people from one group from another, she said. Moreno said the skulls like this had never been found in Sonora and that many of the skeletons in the cemetery were those of children. So I'm pretty sure December 21st, 2012 was.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it was like the Maya.
I think I graduated.
Mayan end of the world.
No, I graduated in May. I'm lying.
The rapture too.
Yeah.
Was like they're saying the rapture was going to be sometime around then.
Yeah.
But all right, so yeah, that was pretty mainstream. That came out.
Right, here's more pictures.
Here, bro, did you change the fucking?
No,
bro.
you did.
No, you. No. All right. So this is from Mexico. Now we are in. Shit, I forget where these are. Germany. These are either Hun or Germany. The one on the top left and the top right are the same, just different angles. I believe, yeah, these are Hun burials as well. So the Huns were famous for the skull binding. That gives you more of the skinny look at the top. Here are more Hun, I believe, like near Russia or Central Asia. And on the bottom right, that's like a depiction of what.
That's a woman.
I think that's a guy.
That's a woman.
Yeah, it's a woman. Guys, what do you? Jeez, Juan. What type of clubs you've been going to?
No, it's very.
That looks like a guy.
Does it? I feel like I've seen my lunch lady look like that once upon a time.
Let's take a poll. That looks
my
like
PE coach.
That looks like Charlie Kirk too. Honestly, not gonna lie, a little bit. Is that a guy or a girl, guys? I think that's a dude.
Dude looks like a lady. It's ma'am.
For real. This guy would fit in great in today's society.
Trying to find my
Yeah, it's a dude. Juan is just so superficial. He just sees a ponytail and he thinks girl.
No, it's the face.
He's
It's the very soft eyes. You know, very. Look at the lips. Very
now listen.
feminine.
Okay, it looks like he's got some makeup on. I do not. There's nothing feminine
It's
about.
okay to be a beautiful
those
man. There's
lips,
nothing
though.
wrong with being a beautiful man. I mean,
That's got
you
a
know.
pretty masculine look to it, just with like kind of makeup on or something.
Yeah. Yeah, with eyeliner. There you go. The eyeliner. It's the eyeliner.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like he just got his eyebrows done.
I hate chat. I can't stand you guys.
Solar Bear, $49.99.
My bad. My bad.
Man, that's a whopping tip. Appreciate it. Solar Bear, 1776. The $49.99 says for your eyebrow tattoo fund. Speak of the
I think
devil.
you'd look good. I think you'd look good with tattooed eyebrows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Damn. Dude, how blasted are you right now, bro? How many bowls did you take before the podcast? Are you on that elongated skull kush, bro? Elongated skull strain? That skunk ape strain? Damn.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Juan would get fooled easily in Thailand, probably.
Eyebrow fund, more like the highbrow fund. Ayo. Appreciate it, Solar Bear. All right, dude.
Hey.
What's up with this dude with the cock head and the ball ears?
He's a bald chit. He's a bald chittian.
Dude, what the hell?
Golly, look at the fat around his ears, man.
Someone circumcised this cracker.
He's about to eat that crane. That's what he's about to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
So this is from Japan. So these are all from Japan.
Really?
Now,
It looks like the guy we talked about earlier.
Well, probably the same, similar inspiration. Probably trace back to a similar deity. All right, Crispy.
I found him.
Crispy, get off my case. All right. This was gifted to me by a subscriber. This vape. I don't vape. People know I don't vape. I don't vape. This was gifted to me. Donated, and I'll smoke it when I'm inside. All right.
So this is the Japanese Fuku Rokuju, which it is Japanese, one of the 7 lucky gods in Japanese mythology.
Fuck you, Roku.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jew Roku.
The Tengu.
Fuck you, Roku Jew. Fuck you. How do we pronounce it?
Fuku Rokuju.
It's literally Fukurukuju.
Fuku
you, Rokuju. No way.
Yes,
Fuck
bro.
you, Roku. Fuck you, Rokuju. Bro, Netflix and chill? Netflix and chill? Nah, I'm trying to fuck you, Rokuju.
Oh man.
Damn, yeah.
Shut your mouth, bro. Shut up.
Yeah, we hit Ron. We hit Juan's. We hit Juan's.
Hit the G spot, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, I wasn't making.
Dude, I literally off the cuff. I said, "Fuck you, Roku."
Yes,
I had no idea that was on the money.
Yeah. So the again, it has been theorized that it is he is a Japanese assimilation of the Chinese 3-star god, which is the other fuck you, Rokuju.
Right. Because he was friends with the North
god.
Because he was friends with the North Pole guy and the South Pole guy.
Yes.
Okay.
So According to some, before attaining divinity, he was a Chinese hermit of the Song dynasty and a reincarnation of the Taoist deity Zuanshin Shengdi. So that during his human incarnation, he was a Senin, which is a immortal or mythical being who could exist without eating food. I don't know about that. Said he could exist without eating food. And check this guy out, bro. Check out this mask.
Damn, yeah.
We gotta
He
get
got
some of
that.
those for Halloween.
He got that chindo on.
What that chin do?
You know what you know what a chindo is?
No,
search chindo.
no.
CHIN. Yeah, search chindo.
CHIN.
DO.
Hold on. Indonesia.
No,
So
chindo.
it's a slang, right?
No.
No,
Chindo. No.
no. So it's a slang for term for Chinese Indonesians.
No. That's I've got better words for them. Chindo is something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what a chindo is, bro.
All right, might be.
I'm trying to pull something that sounds perverted. I want to pull it up on stream and get nuked.
It is kind of, yeah. You never watched Workaholics? You never saw Chindo?
Workaholic, is that the one where the he's a dentist or whatever?
No. Here,
Well, that's a
guys, you see
show, right?
this? Roku is a publicly traded company in the process of being acquired by Fox Corporation. Interesting. Huh.
Wait, what does this have?
Anthony Wood.
Let me guess, of Tengu descent.
Well, we don't know that. But Fukurokuju. Fukuroju. Fukuro
Fukurokuju.
Fukurokuju.
They didn't hide it. And wasn't the Japanese the ones that had the Tengu?
Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese mythology, the Tengu. Damn.
All right. So in Japan, they actually do not have any elongated skulls at all. If they do, I could not find anything about it. And I even saw a quote from some Japanese website that said, "There's no skull shaping on any Japanese territory except one island or one small chain of islands, and they don't lengthen the heads. They actually almost like shrink them or box them in, and that's what you see in the bottom right there." So on the left, that's a depiction of Fukuro Fukurokuju. Fukurokuju.
Yeah.
And on the top right, that's like an ancient figurine or an old figurine of the same deity. So painting, artwork on the left, figurine top right. Bottom right, that's one of the few examples of cranial modification in Japanese territory.
I
So,
found you want to see this article?
what is it? Let's see it.
Long-standing mystery. What up? Long-standing mystery of modified human skulls in ancient Japan solved by new analysis. So
Yeah, I think I saw this. I think I
saw it?
saw this one. I think so, yeah.
23. So they don't have any pictures though. Modified skulls found in an ancient burial site in Japan were deliberately reshaped in both men and women as an expression of collective identity. But they don't have any. The Hirota people is the one that the
Mhm.
southern Japanese island of Shima, Gashima. Yeah, something like that. So these are the people that ancient Japanese indigenous group from the 3rd to 7th century CE. So those they look pretty dark, right? Is this? So we was
Well,
Japanese and shit.
all the islands south of Japan have like black natives.
Really?
So in World War II, when we were fighting Japan, most of the fighting was going on in islands south of Japan or east of Japan, and all the natives in most of those islands are like dark black skin.
Hmm.
So the Japanese, people don't know. In America, we don't really know about that. That the Japanese were very colonial, and they reached very far out, far away from Japan across the Pacific before World War II broke out. So when we're fighting the Japanese in these tropical islands, those are not native Japanese lands. Those are places the Japanese acquired shortly before World War II. I just hurt myself. I think you're.
Yeah, no, I'm trying because people say there's a few people saying I sound too low, but I don't know. There's nothing else I can do.
Hmm.
So Fuku ro shumu you. I'm out of options.
Or maybe I'll try and turn mine down a little.
I don't know. Yours. Let me check your settings. Edit mic settings. Yeah, because you have it. The automatically adjust the mic.
Here, I turned auto adjust off. Now it's just 50%. Guys, does this sound better? For anyone who's saying it doesn't sound good, does this sound better?
It's 100% right now.
Mine?
Yeah. Let me turn mine
No.
on, and then
I'm looking at it. Mine's 50%. Oh, well, 100, but yeah, it's like 50, like halfway. At the halfway
It's fine
point.
though. Just turn it back. Here, just turn it back on. You're fine. Whatever.
Okay.
As long as you can hear me, I don't like her.
All right. Aristotle says all good now.
Testicles, testing. I'm maxed out, so.
Fukurokuju. So, okay. So we learned about this guy a little bit. He's like the Japanese version of that Chinese old man of the South Pole. He's also got like a crane with him, which I think was mentioned with the other guy. But all right, so now we're in France. Now, this is pretty interesting because this is actually common. This was going on up until like the 70s. They were still doing this. There's not a town, but like a province, a state, an area in France that historically has shaped their heads like this. And they would do it with kind of a cloth, like a binding. But this was just something they did with their children. Wasn't really a spiritual thing, but it just kind of stuck in this one area. And these are two real pictures of people from that area in France on the left and the top right. And there's a skull from France, this area. That's not his skull, correct. That's not his. That's a similar skull. They're just facing the same way. The one on the bottom right, I think, belongs to a woman. But France, I think these were called the Toulouse skulls. And then Egypt, of course, I think probably behind Peru, I think people are, most aware that Egypt has some elongated skulls. A lot of artwork has that. And bottom right there, that's a engraving or a carving into a wall of a pharaoh or some high class woman. I think that's a woman, maybe not, with an elongated skull. And then top right there, that's an ancient figurine or statue of an elongated head, right? So not a hat, right? Definitely the skull itself, not just the hat. And on the left there, that's King Tut. So this is far from the longest skull that Egypt has, but I thought it was probably the most famous, and it is elongated. So, but yeah, there are other examples of much more elongated skulls from Egypt. Some of them still have hair on them, but that's King Tut, which most people are familiar with. But not many people know that his head was shaped. Yeah. And I'd imagine with the pharaohs, it was definitely seen as a spiritual thing too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they had some increased capacity. You know, it's not just tall and narrow in the back; it actually looks really big and open in the back.
And someone said, look at their eyes. They're very they look almost like bulged out a
Hmm.
little bit. Very alien-esque.
Speaking of the bulging, yeah. So this is a tribe somewhere in Africa, and they still do head binding. Not as much today, but not as much today, but you know, in the 60s, the 70s, they were doing this to almost everyone. And on the bottom right here, not to be mean to this woman, but does she not look like an alien? Like that's, you know, this looks like a normal woman with just a funny shaped head. This looks like a remnant of an alien species or something, you know, nothing to do with her.
I wonder if there's studies done as to how this has affected them.
Hmm. Well,
Go
we
ahead.
definitely know it's not making them smarter. This is definitely the chicken's definitely coming after they're trying to make the chicken come before the egg here is what they're trying to do. But all right, so yeah, that brings us back into Yakub, the scientist, of course. Circle back. But the grand kind of climax to this is Florida, right? We went all around the world, and it would only make sense that here in Florida, if Florida's as cool as I say it is, well then we'd want to see some stuff like that, you know. Show me the elongated skulls, show me the star child skull in Florida. Well, we got it. And not many people know about it. Very, very few people know about this, actually. And the Timucua Indians that I always talk about, it even slips, you know, it's not my memory, it slips my, attention that the Timucua practiced this as well. It was mainly the upper class, the royal races of Florida, as they've been described, the upper caste, the elite, who were the warriors for the most part. They would do the skull shaping. It was mostly the Timucua and some other ones up in the Panhandle. The Tequesta and the Calusa, probably not as much, not from what I've heard. But what you're seeing on screen here, these are all Timucua Indians, or
And that's not a sort of hat or any sort of headwear that they would wear. That's their
no.
actual head.
Yep. So if you go look at most examples, they just look normal. If you search Timucua Indians, it's harder to find the accurate depictions with the longer heads, but these are faithful depictions, and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, that's Juan's grandpa on the top right there with the bone, the chicken bone through his ear, and yeah, but so these are Timucua Indians, and speaking of like Nephilim and Canaanites, you know, biblical stuff. Elongated skulls are never mentioned in the Bible. We know long noses are mentioned in the Bible. 6 fingers, 6 toes are mentioned in the Bible. but elongated skulls are not mentioned. Now, despite that, they've still come to be associated with the Nephilim and even the Canaanites sometimes. And I know those words are used pretty loosely at times. But if you've ever heard about Jekyll Island and the Federal Reserve and this human sacrifice that went on in Florida and Georgia with the Timucua Indians, if you've ever heard Tim Bentz talk about how the Indians used to do blood magic in Jekyll Island and that the billionaires, the richest billionaires in the world 100 years ago, 120 years ago, they would all vacation on Jekyll Island because they liked that bad energy. They believed in this like staining, blood stained land was more powerful, right? And yeah, Jekyll Island, yeah. Now, the Timucua Indians did do child sacrifice on altars, and Tim Bentz connected that to the Jekyll Island Federal Reserve and all this crazy stuff, crazy dark conspiracies. And he talks about how the Timucua Indians were super tall. They're like 7 feet tall, based off many descriptions. Well, something else that never gets mentioned is that they had elongated skulls. So these guys were tattooed. They had big gauges and earrings and jewelry, breastplates. They had, copper. They could make copper into like fine jewelry and armor and stuff. Pretty sophisticated tribe. They had some other weird, cultural traits too. But Tim Bentz, who has actually been to the Middle East and studied the Canaanites a little bit, he was convinced that this tribe was like a breakaway Phoenician colony or Philistine or Canaanite colony, like a group really close to the Hebrews who weren't Hebrews. So Canaanites, Phoenicians, someone like that. The Phoenicians also did child sacrifice like the Canaanites. And but yeah, so Tim Bentz talks about these guys. He thinks the Timucua Indians were Canaanites. He says their weapons were like Canaanite weapons, their altars were like Canaanite altars, all this stuff. Well, the Timucua Indians had elongated skulls. So that's one more thing that makes them scary, spooky. Moving on. What's the evidence for that? These are just artistic renderings, right? The one on the left there is pretty old, maybe a couple 100 years old. But the one on the right, the two on the right are more recent, just going off descriptions. Well, what's the evidence for this? And another reason you don't see the Timucua associated with elongated skulls is their hairstyle. The way they'd wear their hair up at the top in a bun like that, like we were talking about before with the Buddha and Shiva having the bun at the top of the head, the knot. It kind of makes it hard to tell that they have this elongated skull. So these are all skulls from Florida. All of them. In the top left, that's from Amelia Island. Amelia Island, right over there next to Jekyll Island. Amelia Island is like as far up on the northeast coast as you can go before you get to Georgia. Jekyll Island is as far south as you can go before you get to Florida. Can you search Amelia Island on the map, please?
Yep. It's by Fernandina Beach up on near Jacksonville, near St. Augustine.
Yep.
St. Augustine would be somewhere.
Jacksonville. It's farther north. But there's Jekyll Island. Yep. Zoom out just a tiny bit. See Amelia Island and Jekyll Island. See those two guys? So these are, we can't really say that these are Timucua Indians because they may have been buried way before the Timucua. But this is the same area, pretty much the same tribal territory as Jekyll Island. So those Indians, some of them who were doing the child sacrifice and all this stuff, had elongated skulls, and that ought to be terrifying. So now in the top right here, I believe that's near the St. Johns River, which is also up there near Jacksonville. If you search Florida elongated skull, the picture in the top right here is the one you're most likely to see. This is the most publicized elongated skull from Florida in the top right. In the top left, this was from I think they call it the Dorian Dig site in Amelia Island. They found tons of skeletons, multiple with elongated skulls. They don't let you see the photographs, they only let you see a few. Some of those skeletons look like giants. I mean, huge. It's right there where you'd expect them to be. The Timucua were described as giants. But all right. Now, bottom right. Juan, you want to take a guess where the one on the bottom right came from?
In Florida,
Yeah.
Appalachia, Cola.
No. No. A thrift store. Some lady, I don't know if it's a thrift shop, some little shop,
Mm-hmm.
was selling a real human skull alongside like fake stuff.
Is that legal?
No. I don't think she got in trouble for it, but she didn't know. And someone who recognized it as a real human skull, I think they called the police and came and said, "Yeah, this is a real skull. How did you get this?" And it may not look elongated in that picture, but it is a slightly elongated skull that made its way into a Florida, I think a thrift store. Search that up, yeah. Florida skull found in store. There was a kind of a media
So there was one
buzz
from
around that.
May 16, 2026, actually, very in Brooksville.
Wait, that recently?
May 16, 2026 was the most recent. So thrift store employees find a real human skull mixed in with donations.
Whoa, that's very recent.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Published June 10, 2026. Thrift store employees found a real human skull mixed with donations. This was in Brooksville. So the remains appear to date back to World War II era. Hernando County Sheriff's Office said authorities suspect the skull was mistaken for a prop and now looking for the person who donated it. Yikes. Yeah. Yeah, in Brooksville. Jericho Ministries thrift. It was a church thrift and they friggin' donated it. But then I looked up here other ones and there was one here. It's the same one.
Yeah. No, the other one was a couple years ago. It was a woman owner and a woman who recognized it.
This one in 2023, Fort Myers.
Yeah, I think so.
Paradise Vintage. Oh, yeah, this is the one right here. Paradise Vintage. Yada, yada, yada. Where? Come on. Human skull donated to thrift store bin. I think it's the same one. Yeah,
No,
Jericho
go here. Just search Florida skull thrift store woman.
I saw the picture came up. Look at this one right here. Anthropologist finds human skull in
There you go,
Florida
yeah.
thrift Halloween section.
Yeah.
So
What was this one? 2023?
yeah, 2023.
Nice.
So right here, they're taking pictures of it.
Damn, they're playing the sound bath. Some fucking
There it is right there.
yeah. So
Yeah,
you can tell a little bit it's slightly elongated, but the jaw is big. It's got very few teeth, which is a pretty common Florida thing. So I do believe this is an actual Florida Indian skull. I could be wrong on that. Could be totally wrong. But it
Here, let's
looks
see
like a
what they
Native
say about it.
American. Looks like a Native American skull.
Authorities said this case is not suspicious in nature, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't. I guess they don't know where it comes from. That's pretty gnarly.
Well, but yeah. Now something else happened like that. That was pretty crazy. There's been another. How far are you from Winter Garden?
Not far.
What, like 40 minutes?
Yeah, give or take. So it is 43 minutes. Yeah, I'm 33 miles away, dude.
Hit the button, bro.
Hold on. Here we go.
Illuminati confirmed.
Hell yeah. So yeah. So top one on the left found near Amelia Island, up near Jekyll Island. The one on the top right was found near the St. Johns River, which is also up there near Jekyll Island, or near Jacksonville. But skulls like this are found in the Panhandle as well. And you're going to see here we've got a pretty interesting quote from the Smithsonian anthropologist. But here, let's talk about this story first for a sec. No, we'll finish with that one. So just starting off with, not many people know that there are elongated skulls in Florida. I wish more people knew that. People think, oh, Peru, this or that, Egypt. No, right here in Florida. And what is also cool, well, here, don't take it from me. Take it from the #1 Smithsonian shill. Okay. Ales Herdlicka. There's two ways you can laugh at this guy's name, okay? Either he likes to lick hard ones, okay? He's a hard licka, or he's such a fucking miserable drunk. His name's Hard Licka, like hard liquor. Either one, it's funny. But this guy's like a villain, okay? The Vero Man, if you ever heard of the Vero Man, Juan and I talked about Vero Man like a month ago.
Yep.
Vero Man is like the most significant anthropological discovery, archaeological, human archaeology, so anthropology, I guess. The most significant discovery to come out of Florida. It single-handedly made the academics rewrite what they thought about the peopling of the Americas. But Ales Herdlicka was the #1 opponent trying to prevent Vero Man from getting the attention and, study that it deserved. Ales Herdlicka, born in 1869, died in 1943. He was the first curator of physical anthropology for the Smithsonian Institution. To sum up what his main contribution was, he's the guy who debunked giants. And he largely achieved that through writing, I guess, what could be considered his magnum opus, Anthropology of Florida, in 1922. This guy, even though he was the, lead anthropologist for the whole Smithsonian, he was actually spending much of his career either in Florida or dedicated towards responding, reacting, and debunking the findings that were coming out of Florida, because there was so many discoveries and mounds being excavated and giants and all this. Ales Hrdlicka was pretty much hired to shut up the whole giant conversation. I swear to God. And not only the giants, but the different races in America. The theory of mound builders was something he also tackled and disagreed with. And this guy was very much just a close-minded shill, to put it plainly. He was like I'm very rarely just writing people off. I'll go to bat for Aleister Crowley. Okay. I'll go to bat for a lot of people. This guy was straight up hired to gaslight the American public. Ales Hrdlicka. In trying to debunk giants, he necessarily had to spend much time in Florida or focusing on Florida because there were so many giants coming out of Florida. So he wrote The Anthropology of Florida, which just by covering Florida and the skeletons coming out of Florida, he was able to defeat the giant skeleton myth, right? Which we know it's not a myth, but so here's what he said. So even though he disagreed with all the giants and this or that, and he had all his different ways of gaslighting people and saying, oh, no, you didn't measure those right. Oh, no, amateurs can't assemble skeletons and can't tell you how tall they are and stuff like that. Well, he did have to concede some things. And there's this great quote that I've shared from the same book, the same work, Anthropology of Florida, where he says massiveness. Instead of saying giant, he uses the word massiveness. And he says, well, yeah, the skeletons in Florida are the most massive anywhere, of course. But that's because they just ate a lot of shellfish. So they're not giants. They're just, well,
They're big boned.
yeah, they're well nourished, something. And he's a gaslighter, D1 gaslighter. Okay. Well, he also had something to say about the skulls, because when they're sending you skeleton after skeleton from Florida, and they're all super tall and they all have elongated skulls, at some point you have to kind of address the reality, right? And say, yeah, they do have elongated skulls. Yes, they are extra big, but here's why. So here's a little quote from that book. Deformation. The majority of Floridian skulls show artificial molding. There is but one type of this, the fronto-occipital flattening, but in instances, the frontal parts have been so little affected that the occipital compression alone is perceptible. End quote. So you heard it right from the horse's mouth. Now, this is 1922. They hadn't dug up every skeleton in Florida yet, and they never will. But from everything he had seen, he said the majority of old buried skeletons in Florida had cranial deformation or elongated skulls. So molding means shaping. Flattening would be a type of molding. So that's pretty crazy. That's the guy.
He was also the guy I was arguing with. Wasn't it E. Calloway? Wasn't
Not E. Calloway. Sellards.
Sellards?
T-
Yes.
Something Sellards. The guy who was the state geologist of Florida for a long time. And before the Smithsonian kind of took over, geology was like, if you found old human remains, you'd call the geologists, because archaeologists were kind of hard to come by. So Florida had a state geologist who was in charge of things like ancient human remains. And he was the state geologist, and he was saying the Vero Man was over 100,000 years old. 100,000. And the Smithsonian was saying, no, this could only be 6,000 at most. Now we know Sellards was more correct, was closer to the truth. He said something like 20,000 years. His friend said 100,000 years. But they were basically saying not just late Pleistocene, but middle Pleistocene. Mid to late Pleistocene. So, but all right, Vero Man, guys, go look up Vero Man if you've never heard of it. Very cool. Very cool little rabbit hole. But, another day, we're going to talk about giants again. I've talked about giants lots of times. We'll talk about giants again, and we'll go over what he said about giants, his role in the whole thing. But I think it was him who had this quote. Never mind. I don't want to misquote him. Here's this came from 1939. I think in the top it says discovered in 1939. I think it's supposed to say 1929 on that one, but the bottom date is correct. So this quote comes from 1939. So a new type of skull from Florida. On the right there is where they found this skull, discovered in 1929 near Lake Okeechobee. That's near me, Lake Okeechobee. Quote, in contrast to the fronto-occipital type of deformity characteristic of the skull collections from North and Northwest Florida, is a new type from Southern Florida, with which this report is primarily concerned. This new type, for which I proposed the name Obelionic, neither fits into the usual classifications of cranial deformation, nor shows relationship outside of Florida, end quote. And that's from a new type of artificial cranial deformation from Florida, dated 1939. Now, we don't know what it looks like. Yeah, I don't think it was as visually impressive as like some of the really long ones. But from the sounds of it, it was more of like a widening or a flattening in the back.
There's no pictures of that one?
Maybe, I think there was only like drawings or sketches, but no pictures, I don't think. Now, the reason I bring that one up is because Ales, he was basically saying, yeah, it's true that the majority of skulls from Florida have shaping, this deformation, but it's only one type. It's only one type, and it was very common, and it may have just been from the boards they slept on or something insignificant. So don't even worry about it. Well, he's not actually telling the truth. He may actually be avoiding the truth, is that that's not true. There were multiple types, if not totally unique types of cranial deformation in Florida that he was either ignorant of or was choosing not to talk about. So we're going to see some of those in a sec. But this is what most of the elongated skulls in Florida look like. The taller type, more egg-shaped, not like super, super long, but still pretty tall. And you see it fits with that like top bun hairstyle. Well, here's another type. This is from Boynton Beach. Now, in the bottom right here, that arrow was put by them, not me. This is one of those double-shaped skulls. Almost like a butt or like a heart shape. What the heck is going on in that? That's almost like two brains growing out of one head, And this is from Boynton Beach. I mean, this is right in smack dab in like the middle of Palm Beach County, Florida. We're a very ritzy area, Del Boca Vista. Have you ever heard Seinfeld say Del Boca Vista, where all the grandparents live in Seinfeld? That's Del Rey, Boca Raton, and Park Vista, which is Boynton Beach.
Mm.
So Boynton Beach is another one of these retirement communities, you know. So very funny that this very quiet kind of, some parts of Boynton are pretty ghetto, but Boynton's just kind of very quiet. Nothing's really happening, and they're pulling shit like this out of the ground. So I called this one the Boynton Beach Star Child skull, because what the hell is that? And you know, the pictures aren't really good, but from the descriptions, if you read this whole thing,
Looks
you
small.
know, well, it's only, I think it's only half the skull, so it's missing like half. That's just the top, like the crest of the skull.
Did they say if it was a child or not?
I don't think it was a child. I just called it that. Boynton Beach Star Child skull. Quote, the most notable abnormalities in the collection were ostensibly intentional cranial deformations, with the skull configuration of S1, SI1, whatever, is suggestive of cradle board deformity. The absence of facial and frontal bones precluded a more certain diagnosis. The cause of numerous anomalies observed in S7 is much harder to pinpoint. That would be this example here. It says F, but that's what they're talking about. They were perplexed. Okay, they're used to seeing the flattening. They had no idea how this is produced. You know, like if they say that, oh yeah, all the Indians have this certain skull shape because all the kids go down on the same type of board. Well, why did this guy grow up with his head like this? How did that happen? You know?
So cradle board, is that thing that we showed earlier where they carry the babies in?
Yes, cradle board. Thank you. That's the word.
So that would suggest, yeah, it was either a child or, small human.
Now here's another cool story. This is why I asked you about Winter Garden. So Winter Garden, these skulls were found in a backyard in Winter Garden in 2012, just like those other skulls, you know, marking the end of the world or something. I don't know. But found in 2012 during construction for a pool in a backyard near Winter Garden. 3 skulls discovered. At least one was elongated. So there you can see it's broken off. You know, it's always a shame when the face gets broken off because you can't really tell what you're looking at. But that's a huge skull, super long. In another picture, you can see. Oh, maybe not. I just zoomed in on it. But if you go look up the web articles and see, this thing is big.
Yeah, it looks huge.
And they called this Peruvian skull, mostly because of the shape, but it was buried with some other Peruvian artifacts all together.
Like actually Peruvian, or what they're
Yes.
just calling Peruvian?
No, actually Peruvian, like pottery and like a little purse, like an old pouch that was made.
All the way up here?
Yep. Well, here's the thing, Juan. They found a 1978 newspaper clipping with the stuff buried in the backyard. So they don't think that this is ancient. It's still a mystery, but they think that this was recently buried by like a Peruvian person who had their ancestors' remains with them. And they buried them in Florida with a newspaper article from the time. So
So one wasn't necessarily like an article about something. It was just something to show the date.
I don't remember. I don't know.
There's a lot going on in this one, like Peruvian newspaper. Like it's pretty bizarre,
Yeah.
almost like maybe a ritual of some sort. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. I saw that mentioned in some of the articles. They definitely floated that idea around. Like, why the fuck are they burying all this shit in a backyard in like a suburb?
But most
But
importantly, did they finish the pool? Like, do we know? Can I go visit the house to see if they finished?
mhm.
How is it? How was the Because, dude, this kind of stuff probably happens all the time, and I think a lot of it goes unreported because once like the Miami Circle and like the condos, the buildings that they were doing there, all the hoops they make you jump through in order to dig out all the remaining stuff that costs millions of dollars. So I'm sure a lot of these developers, they start digging footers and doing all this stuff. Hey, what's that? Just keep your mouth shut. Just go ahead and toss it in that corner over there and pave over and keep going. So I think it's a lot more common, but and you even had stories of like Henry Flagler when they were doing the road and they were digging through mounds of the indigenous people and they were just throwing the bones to the side and they just kept going. So I'm sure this is a lot more common than what people reported, but it just goes unnoticed because people, I'm sure they just toss it to the side and
Yeah.
run it.
It's funny you say that. I think it was actually a plumber who found these bones. So the construction people may have actually not reported it or just not seen it or what. They didn't get to it. But when the plumber came around to do his part, he uh he's the one who notified the authorities. So we've got a comment here. Dennis said, the Nazca lines are near elongated skulls. That's true. So the Paracas culture over there is pretty dang close to the Nazca lines. Let me double check that. Have never been to Peru. So yes, that is true. So this is the backyard where they were building the pool and they found those skulls. So scientists suggested they could have been brought back into the US by tourists as souvenirs. Then why bury them in your backyard?
How did that get through
Like
customs?
loose.
I mean, do they just let people come in with human remains? Like, hey,
Yeah.
what a cool skull, dude. See you later. Like, it's pretty weird. There's something going on there.
This 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 could be a cover up because this is a mystery. They do not know how those came to be here. The newspaper article is what makes them pretty certain that it's not an ancient visitation or an ancient, thing.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows, Who knows how they ended up in that backyard? Here's another picture of the same backyard. Plumber who was working on a pool in Winter Garden came across the skulls while digging in January. Phew. Yup.
It's a mystery. That guy was like, I watched the Old World Florida channel. I know exactly what this is. I'm going to report it to the authorities. And then he called the cops.
Plumbers are my people.
Hey, shout out to
Shout out to my plumbers, Kelly, if you're watching. What's up, dude? You know that 101 with 200 gems. Guys, what are the gems?
Shekels, bro.
My landlord doesn't take gems. Okay. Like, come on. No, we're just kidding. We appreciate it. I don't know what gems are though. I don't know.
What are
So
gems?
if you're looking to support us, gems might not be the move. User Mel, Mel, $20 says $20 make Chindo holler. That's funny. Juan still doesn't know what a Chindo is.
Nope. Sounds perverted though. I'll take your
Yeah.
word for it.
Yeah, it is. Search Workaholics Chindo.
I never watched that show, so
It's too cerebral for you.
yeah. I watched The Office.
Too
That was.
sophisticated.
Oh, okay. I see what it. I see what it is. Yeah. All right. That's pretty. That's an interesting piece of technology right there.
Thanks, user. So, J Sup. Is this John Sup? You have to change your nickname. You change your name or something? You get banned from the chat. J Sup with an 99 cents. Appreciate that. You know dat with 30 gems says clutch. You know dat with 200 more gems says flow state. Joe the Toe with 15 bucks says yeah, dude.
Toe Rogan.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all. That's all the slides. What else? What else needs to be said?
I think you got it. I don't think we got into the ancient brain surgery
Oh shit! Yeah.
where they
I
used
don't
to
know.
do, which is pretty gnarly. They used to essentially drill holes in the side of people's heads, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them would live. Right? It was
Mm-hmm.
a form of surgery. I can imagine it wasn't pleasant whatsoever, but
Yeah. And
it
you know what's
worked.
great? You know what's crazy is Ignatius Donnelly, who was I forget what he was. He was like a senator or a politician or
Sounds familiar.
congressman. He was an Atlantis researcher who made this book on Atlantis. I forget what the title is. Fuck. We have it in
Yeah,
the
that
bookstore.
name
It's over
sounds
there.
familiar. Ignatius Donnelly.
Atlantis, the Lost Empire, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Ignatius Donnelly, he was like the authority on Atlantis for like a little while. He was like the number one guy with the most cutting edge theories, and he kind of tackled. I forget if he was before Mormonism or after, but he had almost like some proto Mormon beliefs where he said like the mound builders were descended from the Atlanteans, and he could prove it with the elongated skulls and the brain surgery and like certain things. So he talked about elongated skulls. He kind of brought archaeology into the mix. He was one of the first guys to do that with Atlantis. And he was connecting the Native Americans and different like art and motifs in Mesoamerica with Asia and Ignatius. Yeah, Ignatius Donnelly, pretty cool book. It's kind of like all over the place, and he's kind of just like cataloging all these cool things. The book's almost like the equivalent of like a modern day Tartaria YouTube channel where there's like
Mm.
all these things getting labeled as Tartaria.
Very retarded. Yes, yes. Very
How
retarded.
much of it is actually Tartaria? Like very little, but there is something to all the connections, and there is a kernel of truth to all the parallels. But I think a lot of the book's kind of very much like drunk on all the connections. He'll take and I'm guilty of stretching and connecting things that don't deserve to be connected myself, but I'd say that's like the main turnoff for me with the book is that it's kind of really all over the place. Um, but it's a good book. We sell it. Ignatius Donnelly's. Someone write the title in here. What's the
Would you say
title
it
of
was
What's the title of Ignatius Donnelly's Atlantis book, guys? Come on, I have the
Atlantis,
smartest.
the antediluvian world? Ignatius
Yes.
uh,
Yep.
Loyola Donnelly,
Yep.
1882.
1882. Okay, so he's post Mormon
Yeah,
after the
pseudo
Mormons.
archaeological book published in 1882. Minnesota populist politician.
Mm-hmm. But he's got some cool theories, and I think he definitely talks about the elongated skulls a little bit, and I think he talks about the trepanation, the trepanning, how they cut holes in the head and stuff. But what's crazy is, have you ever heard of this? There's like this. Oh man, where does it come from? It's like Rudolf Steiner or someone said, when you become enlightened, you get like a soft spot on the top of the head.
Yeah, I did. I had done a presentation on the homunculus manga, and they talk about trepanation on there, where the main character, he actually drills a hole in the middle of his head, and when he covers one eye, he's able to see. The homunculus in that particular book are like little demons and things that attach to people and all their insecurities and everything. So he
Mhm.
drills a hole into his head here, and then when he covers one eye, he's able to see everyone's imperfections by what's attached to them.
Ooh,
So it's almost like a way of seeing into the spirit realm, if you will, where you're opening up that third eye and leaving room there, and it gives you essentially superpowers. So I could see that being also like a sort of belief these people would have had back then, like, hey, if you give your brain a room to breathe, you're gonna gain these special powers, right? Maybe that was part of it as well, but I can't even imagine doing that. There are a bunch of studies on trepanation. There have been modern day people who have done it intentionally to themselves. Let me find the guy's name. Trepanation. So there was a guy who.
it's almost like a lobotomy a little bit, and also like in Fight Club when he's suffering from mental illness, he's like
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenic, and then he sticks the gun in his mouth, pulls the trigger, but it only kills like the bad half of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Trying to find the guy who did it recently, like in this, I think it was in the 70s. So since the early 1960s, voluntary trepanation has been performed by people interested in, quote, enhancing mental power and well-being. The practice of trepanning also continues today due to belief in various pseudoscientific medical benefits. For example, some have tried trepanation as a means of emulating the third eye in order to achieve clairvoyance, or as a means of maintaining, quote, permanent state of euphoria.
yeah, guys, chat, listen up. Okay, I've got the smartest chat on YouTube here. Okay, I know that for a fact. One of you is going to know the answer. What's the legend? It's like Rudolf Steiner or someone about they're like Atlanteans or something like that, where this legend where it's either a race of people or like something you attain through spirituality, that you're kind of like the Buddha gets the bump on the head. There's this legend or story about someone or some group who had a soft spot on the top of their head. Like when you're so, oh, I think this was like a root race. It was like Blavatsky or someone. Man, I'm forgetting. But there's this theory that the like chosen ones or the ancient Atlanteans or someone had a soft spot on the top of their head, that their skull didn't close all the way and it stayed soft their entire lives. Um,
Mm. Someone said Chihuahuas. Is that it?
no, someone's gonna know it.
Anyways, in 1970, there was a Heartbeat in the Brain documentary where a lady filmed herself drilling a hole into her head. You can find that somewhere, I think.
Mhm. Here, this is what I searched. I was trying to search. I was trying to search this an answer to what I'm looking for, and said, likely relates to trepanation paired with a modern countercultural belief that it restores a childlike, enlightened state of consciousness by releasing intracranial pressure and increasing blood flow to the brain.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, like you were talking about it.
Right there, Amanda Fielding. That's the one.
Mhm.
In 1970, she recorded herself. That's some pretty gnarly stuff. But I mean, that's what some people, the length some people are willing to go to achieve enlightenment. I mean, and I think that a lot of these cultures, they were deforming their heads intentionally in order to achieve what these people were trying to do with trepanation, this altered state, this higher level of consciousness, to be like a god, right? Or to be closer to God. And isn't the whole thing with the crown chakra and what's that one stuff that they do, the kundalini? Doesn't it come out of your head, like your crown?
Yeah, it's like and even in some drawings, it's like that, like an eye at the very top of the head that like
Yeah.
opens. But here, thank you, Old World McMac, legend, long time supporter here.
Shout out.
Old World McMac, always coming in with the killer info. He's right. The Hyperborean root race. It's the third root race in Theosophy. So it's from Blavatsky, I believe. Soft skull. So I guess it's the Lemurian.
The Lemurian.
Lemurian root race.
Possessing a third eye.
Early Lemurian forms possessed soft plastic bones and flexible skulls that lacked modern density or rigid ossification. And they had an opening in the skull for like the third eye to like transmit out of, according to this. Blavatsky was just pretty much made all this shit up. Like she was fat. She didn't know anything. But same with Steiner. Like I love Rudolf Steiner. He's objectively a million times better than Blavatsky. He's a great guy. But they were almost like in a competition for like how much shit can they just make up like out of thin air.
Yeah,
You
a
know.
lot of people bought into it though, I think.
Oh yeah. You know, and his fruits are pretty good. I'll give it to him. Rudolf Steiner. You know, his legacy is very positive for the most part. But well, all right, man. I think that's everything to talk about. You're right. We didn't get to talk about the skull surgery in Florida or the other teeth,
They
but
changed the title, bro.
yeah, we had more. Well, we had more to talk about than we thought, which is good. But 350 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And you know, call up your shoddy, see if she in the mood for some elongated head. You know what I'm saying?
What are we gonna talk about next week? Giants this time or what?
I was thinking we could do red hair. Like
Red hair?
all about red hair. Cause that kind of piggybacks off this topic a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Might as well talk about might as well talk about Nephilim. Have you talked about it already, right? Nephilim?
Yeah, you know, it comes up all the time. But
yeah, we'll figure it out. Cool.
All right, man. Guys, go subscribe to Juan on YouTube if you aren't already. And
I'll be on Mystery Boys this week, so keep an eye out for that. It should be out Thursday, I think, or something.
Oh yeah, what have you been up to? Is that what you were telling me about? Is that the name they use?
Yeah, so it's Duncan Trussell and Kurt Metzger. They have a podcast on the YMH Studios, and Kurt, I guess, has been talking a lot about homunculus, and of course, being the only living homunculologist in existence at the Florida Department of Magic. I went on there and I broke it down for a little bit for them. So I was supposed to go on for 30 minutes, I think, and I ended up doing like an hour and a half. So,
Hell yeah.
it got pretty wild. So
That's
looking
good.
forward to that coming out, and yeah, that'll be out this week, I believe.
That's awesome, man. Pumped for you. Can't wait to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a shout out. The channel got a shout out. So hopefully some people tune in next Thursday.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We already used the music, so we're just gonna cut it. But see ya Saturday night. I'm gonna be going live with Merlin, I think. We should be. To kick off Leo season. We just entered Leo. Go check out my new videos. Make sure
Super
you're
good.
tuned. Make sure you're tuning into the video section too, not just the live section. Over in the video section, got 2 new videos on the Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean, and more to come. There's going to be like 11 parts to that, dropping every week. So we got 10 weeks of Jewish pirates going on. But yeah. So Saturday, me and we're doing a casting couch astrology show. And then Thursday, we'll be back here with Juan.
Yeah.
All right. Good night. Peace.
Good night, guys. Have a good week or weekend. Bye.